This is TLV1 broadcasting from Tel Aviv on TLV1.FM. I'm Yael Wisner-Levy. An exhibition opening today at the Diaspora Museum in Tel Aviv University will be focusing on radiology during the Nazi era. It's going to explore the role of radiology between 1933 and 1945, including the Nazi use of X-rays and the persecution and murder of Jewish radiologists. With me to speak about it are Professor Jacob Sosna, the chairman and Department of Radiology at the Hebrew University Medical Center, Hadassah, and the president of the Israel Radiological Association. And I'll be speaking with Professor Norbert Hosten, the president of the German Radiological Society. Professor Sosna, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
So this exhibit obviously has been traveling quite a few in the world, but coming to Israel and at the eve of Holocaust Remembrance Day is especially significant.
Yes, indeed. The exhibition was opened last year in Germany, in Hamburg, in the 95th Congress of the German Society, and I visited this conference and thought that it would be very important to have it shown in Israel in Hebrew. And it was the generosity of the German Society that let us translate the exhibition to Hebrew, and we will show it and start showing it this evening, just in the eve of the Holocaust Memorial that will happen tomorrow. And actually it will be accompanying an evening organized by the Israeli Medical Association, honoring physicians during the Holocaust, before the Holocaust, during, and also after. So this is a collaboration between our societies in this aspect.
What was it in the exhibit that caught your eye, you as a radiologist and you as president of the Radiologist Association here in Israel, that especially made you want to bring it to Israel?
I'm a son of Holocaust survivors, and for me, Holocaust means a lot. And this is from a personal perspective, but from a professional perspective, seeing that my profession was used not only to treat people, but rather to harm them, is something that is problematic. And I was thinking that radiology started in 1895 when Röntgen invented the X-ray that were used for the benefit of mankind, and 50 years later, it was used in order to harm people. And the contradiction and difference between that gave me the idea that we need to collaborate and have the personal as well as the professional aspects brought together.
When you say that you're a son of Holocaust survivors, seeing that in Germany, is this something that many people here in Israel do not know, this aspect of the Holocaust, of the use of radiology, of the use of medical experiments?
Actually, I'm a radiologist and didn't know about those aspects until last year.
Wow.
So it's not something that was well known to the public, because it was used in order to irradiate. It was one means of for using it for castration and to have people irradiated. Then it was also the Jewish physicians that were prominent radiologists in Germany had to leave their jobs, and some of them immigrated. One of the presidents of the German Radiological Society committed suicide in 1934, and the other one escaped to Czechoslovakia and actually died a few weeks before the end of the Holocaust in the ghetto of Theresienstadt. And also during the Holocaust, the presidents of the society, the German society, were very fond and very close to the Nazi regime. So there are a lot of contradictions and a lot of complexities in this issue.
Indeed.
And it shows the ability to use technology and medicine for the benefit of mankind on one hand, and on the other hand, to use it as means and one of the weapons against other people.
Hi, Professor Hosten. Thank you for joining us. From your perspective, what surprised you most? Because as we just heard from Professor Sosna, many around the world, especially here in Israel, didn't even know about the use of radiology during the Nazi era. How did you find out about it?
A young German radiologist discovered that her grandfather had been a member of the SS, And she was shocked by that, and actually she initiated the historical works on behalf of the German association on the role of radiologists in the Nazi time.
And from there on, the exhibit started to take shape. You started researching?
The German association asked a historian in Germany, Dr. Moser, to look into the history of the society. And she unearthed a lot of facts that we didn't know about or that we didn't were aware of. Radiology was a very young profession in the 30s, and 165 radiologists were Jewish Germans. And as Professor Hoffner said, they left Germany or they were killed in the camps. And Dr. Moser researched the history of all these radiologists, and it was shocking to see how close that was. And as Dr. Sosna said, the technology was also misused. It was used for sterilization of patients, and it was used to diagnose tuberculosis in Polish people, and those that had tuberculosis subsequently were killed and not treated, which is a perversion of the profession, I think, or the ultimate perversion of the profession.
Absolutely. What have been the reactions that you've gotten to this exhibit that it was shown in Germany last year?
When the historical work was initiated 5 years ago, it was not that it was unanimously greeted by the profession. There were older radiologists that said, why look into that, and it's long passed by, and the usual stories. And when the exhibition came out, it was very interesting that the younger generation said, well, that's a very good thing that we did that we looked at that, and it can teach us that as a doctor, you shouldn't do just what you're told. You should follow your own consciousness. Because
it was so unknown to the previous generation? Or was it something that the previous generation wanted to shut out and not discover?
Yeah, they just didn't want to know about it. And I think what's so shocking is that it happens in your own profession. It's not, for a German, a very abstract thing that happened 80 years ago, but it's very close because your fellow radiologists, they took an active part in excluding their colleagues from the profession and did nothing to defend them and helped ultimately to make them either leave the country or looked away when they were killed.
Professor Norbert Hosten, the president of the German Radiological Society, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.